before I jump on to the question, I just wanted a very brief understanding of how your Germany journey started and how long it's been here for you. A little background.
Sure. So essentially, I came here in 2017 to do my master's. It was a joint program, so I did my first year in KTH in Stockholm, and then the second year was supposed to be in TU Berlin, and that's what I did. My relationship with Germany goes a little further back though, because when I was little, my dad used to work here for a couple of years. He worked here in like a really small town in Zwickau, and this is like pre. I mean, there was internet, but you had to access internet through internet cafe. So I remember that was the only way we could communicate with my father. He used to come on like the MSN chat, whatever, and we used to chat with him, all of those things. And he used to tell me really nice things about Germany, that there are, amazing cars and vehicles. That the funniest thing was, I was very fascinated about the trash collection vehicle. He said that the person doesn't even have to get out. There are like brushes on the side. It just cleans the road, puts whatever it's collected in the dump of the truck. And as a 9-year old, I was like really fascinated. So I had that in the back of my mind when I decided that I wanted to get out of the country, explore a little bit. So yeah, that's what brought me to Germany. When I was little, my dad used to work here for a couple of years. He worked here in like a really small town in Zwickau, and this is like pre. I mean, there was internet, but you had to access internet through internet cafe. So I remember that was the only way we could communicate with my father. He used to come on like the MSN chat, whatever, and we used to chat with him, all of those things. And he used to tell me really nice things about Germany, that there are, amazing cars and vehicles. That the funniest thing was, I was very fascinated about the trash collection vehicle. He said that the person doesn't even have to get out. There are like brushes on the side. It just cleans the road, puts whatever it's collected in the dump of the truck. And as a 9-year old, I was like really fascinated. So I had that in the back of my mind when I decided that I wanted to get out of the country, explore a little bit. So yeah, that's what brought me to Germany.
Yeah, and fast forward to many years later, you're very well settled here. You're doing something of your own. So, to begin with, what sparked your startup idea? What did how did you realize that this is the thing that I want to pursue?
So I've been working in startups pretty much since I started working. There was only like one job which was like a proper corporate job, but otherwise I've mostly been in startups. I've always wanted to start one of my own, so that was always the plan. It's just that I'm someone who wanted a safer visa status before I could start it. So which is why when I came here, I decided that I'll work in startups until I get my PR, and then that's when I will take the leap. So that's what I did. I Once I got my PR, I decided that I want to quit. I want to start. I want to figure out what I want to build. So it was not. I did not start with a specific idea. I tried a few, but the idea was to start something, and I was someone looking for a problem. I was also very interested in the startup ecosystem. So I'm a huge part of the Berlin startup ecosystem. I've been like I know the players, I know the organizers, the VCs, all of those. So like I keep doing a lot of events, and then I was also interested in the VC part of it. So I wanted to understand how funding happens. Also like create a network of my own. So I started working with Venturing Women, which used to be like a Daria, who used to be a mentor and was a really good friend. So she built a platform to bring more women in like founding roles, but also more women in investment roles. So I was part of that community. Then I joined a VC to sort of understand how things work on a day-to-day basis, right? How do they form their thesis? How do they sort of create their own fund? How do they model their fund? What is their strategy? All of those things. So I worked with them for some time, and then I was like, okay, I definitely see a gap, and I set up on a quest to figure out, okay, how can I make things easier for founders to invest, and then for investors to track their portfolio, perhaps. How can, the whole power law, and then the whole point that, out of the 20 company portfolio, 4 are write-offs. So, can I do something that the 4 of them are not write-offs? Can we track them early in their journey? Are there, flags that we can identify which says that, hey, this startup is pretty much on a track to be written off. Maybe we can do a little push here and there so that, you at least get 1x or like something out of it, right? So that was the idea. I started talking to a lot of people. When I exhausted my own network, there's a WhatsApp group of, like, again, one of, like a founders WhatsApp group that I was a part of. Someone posted something that, hey, they were working on something. Would you like to check what I'm working on? And that's pretty much how I found my co-founder and the idea itself. So he was working on this platform to pretty much track KPIs and data points of invested startups, and so that, early on they can identify what makes sense, what KPIs look beyond the market data, or that kind of a thing. So we spoke about it. We sort of, figured out where this could go, and then that pretty much gave rise to what Capital Snapshot is today.
Awesome. So you were building something to help others in the ecosystem as well,
Yeah,
right?
reduce the gap.
Yeah, yeah. So while you were on this journey, what is the biggest challenge, would you say, that you faced?
Um, I wouldn't I wouldn't say there was one biggest challenge. I think challenges, you have challenges on every step. So I think one of the things was, okay, you have something, get out there and talk to people. I think one of the biggest misconceptions that people have, that if I tell my idea to someone's going to steal it and make it. And I mean, if it was so easy, everyone would have I mean, nobody is super unique. No idea is super unique. We're 8 billion people. A lot of us think alike. So no idea is unique and great. If people had to, people would have made it. I think understanding that is important. Talking about your idea to people, to potential customers, to people who have the problem that you're solving is very important. I think you can get stuck in your own brainstorming sessions and, create a huge, whole application in your head, or, even start writing some code, or like use Lovable and all of these things, right? Making something has become easier, but I think that is a bigger challenge, wherein you can get stuck in the loop of making too much without getting out, without validating it, without validating your idea initially, without identifying who's going to buy it, and the people who want to buy something like this, who face the problem. Is this what they want? Is this the solution that they want? So I think that is one of the bigger challenges. And then, of course, as an immigrant, you don't have the networks, you don't have too many people that you know in the city. For me, I've been in the ecosystem for since 2017. I used to attend events and, hackathons and all of that. So I had some network. But then if you have been in corporate for quite some time and then you decide you want to get out there, I think network is one of the bigger challenges that you will face. But I think um, all of these are solvable. It's just, yeah, they are challenges that you will face in this journey.
Yeah. Very interesting point you mentioned about being an immigrant and making a network of yourself in a completely new country, and building something from scratch. Is there any Indian value that you carry with yourself that do you think helps you a lot while operating in a foreign land?
Interesting. I don't know if this value is inherently Indian, but I think what I would say is that we're a warm culture, and you extend that warmth towards people. People talk, because there's this misconception that people in the northern Europe or like Western Europe are cold, they don't talk. But what I've realized is, if you make the first move, if you start talking, people talk. So I think extending that warmth, so being just, being a warm person, smiling, talking too much, these are one of the some of the things that I've unknowingly, knowingly used in my networking session, which makes me more approachable to talk to. And of course, people respond better in terms of just hearing you out, or even discussing or sharing their viewpoint. So that is I would say. But yeah, warm culture is not inherent to Indians. I think there's a lot of South American cultures which are warmer, South European cultures which are warmer. So I would say one is that, and I think the second one is the whole attitude of पूछने में क्या जाता है. So you like, I think, and I again, like, this is not entire India. Like, there are certain places in our country where this attitude works. I mean, people embody this, but yeah, I've taken that and I've tried to put it into practice. Keep पूछने में क्या जाता है. We'll like just ask what's the worst. They're going to say no. It's fine. So yeah, that has helped a lot.
That's wonderful. Tell us about building something in Berlin. How do you define the Berlin ecosystem, and do you think it supports entrepreneurship or new ideas or innovation?
Berlin startup ecosystem is interesting, right? Because the one that we see more on TV or like YouTube, or the one that we are exposed to more, is the Silicon Valley, and then also the Indian one, right? Like, we get to see there's like a bunch of YouTube videos and shows and everything which talks about both of these. Even like the UK ecosystem is pretty well known. The thing about the Berlin startup ecosystem is that it's not very well known. It's I still feel it's in its, I wouldn't say nascent stage, but like mid early, yeah, early to mid stages. It's not as popular, which is also means that, I mean, there is more freedom to do things your own way because people are not really looking. It's the underdog story, right? Nobody really considers you important enough, maybe. So yeah, I think there are pros and cons to this ecosystem, right? So on one hand, you're not going to sneeze and make money, in the sense, you have an idea, you wake up with an idea, you tell it to a few investor friends, and then you get some seed funding, and then 3 months later, I mean, there are stories like this. You see Peak AI or like couple of other startups that did those things, but the volume is very low of such stories. So if you're planning, like, in terms of your own finances, if you do not have backup to pay rent or to like do normal day to day things, it can get difficult because funding is not easy to get. On the other hand, if you want to bootstrap and if you want to grow slower, there are way too many options in Berlin, which is, you have a bunch of the Berlin Startup Stipendium. So, like, a lot of these grants that you can get, which can help you with, some money, which is like, paying your rent, which can, give you some basic, let's say, support in terms of let me build this, and then while I'm building this, I know I'm not going to make money, so this is going to pay my rent. So that kind of support really helps, is good for bootstrapping, like startups who want to bootstrap. So I think Berlin is a very good place to bootstrap your startup. And then, of course, eventually, if you show some traction, you can always get funded. I mean, not always, but yes, your chances increase once you show some traction. So that part is, that is how it works here, more or less. On the other hand, like, along with grants, there's a lot of impact startups in Berlin. It's, socialist country. People not just say that they care about stuff, but there are people who are taking action in those directions. So there's a lot of impact startups. So if you want to start something in the fields of impact, or some of the bigger problems that the world is facing, I think there is a lot more help and support and recognition that is given to make sure those more of those startups also are made, more of those products are made, or more of those problems are solved. So yeah, so like I said, pros and cons. It's difficult to make like a bunch of money here. growing exponentially in 10 years is a little harder to imagine now, especially after 2023. It's getting harder to imagine that. Gone are the days of 2021. But
Yeah.
so if you want to grow long term sustainably and make money eventually as well, right? I think Berlin is more uh, supportive of that thought of sort of way of doing a business.
Coming back to your startup, how did you land your first customer? What was that journey like, and how is it going now?
Okay. So in terms of customers, we did a closed beta in October, and the way we got users for that was pretty much plugging into my own circle, or LinkedIn connections to be precise. So when we were lucky, or I mean, I would rephrase it, but essentially our ICPs are founders. So then it, because I've been in the startup ecosystem for the last 8 9 years, it was easier to sort of have, startup founders as my connection. So I started there, the in the physical world, the people that I know, but also LinkedIn connections who are founders. I realized I alone had like some 600 connections in this, geography that are founders. My co-founder had like some another 500 or so. So we realized we have like a roster of 1,000 connections just in within our like first connection in LinkedIn. So pretty much started from there. Run basically, I ran a small automation to identify, who would be the right candidate. Like, I gave my ICP. I had this person state a match with the ICP, and then sort of made a short list of 200 people that I would reach out to. Out of those 200 people, sent everyone a message. I think 20 odd percent people responded, which is pretty decent, and then chose 12 customers or 12 people from that to run our private beta. So that was how I found the customers. Right now, we got some feedback from those customers. We changed things a bit. We refined our product, so to say, and then we're using a slightly different way of distributing this time, because the last time we there were some unanswered questions, let's say. So this time what we want to do is we want to expose our tool to many people, many founders. So this time what we're doing is our distribution strategy is to go through incubators and accelerators. So we're doing workshops starting end of January. So the first workshop technically is end of January. We're doing these workshops with incubators, or these founder groups, chats, community essentially, and doing a workshop with them, giving them access to our product, getting feedback. So that's pretty much our go to market strategy right now.
Yeah. Shruti, since you've been around in this part of the world for a while and building something of your own, if somebody is looking at Germany or Berlin, what is a cheat sheet according to you they should know of? Certain things a young entrepreneur should know of, maybe a list of 5 things that you would suggest that they should be aware of, they should dip their toes into those things, research about that. What would be that cheat sheet according to you?
Have money. But on a serious note, I think I've realized a lot of things that, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. So one thing is Gründungszuschuss. I can never say it fast. So Gründungszuschuss is a startup fund that the Berlin, you can get from, not Berlin, but like the government, which is essentially employment fund that can be converted as a startup fund. So if you've worked in Germany for, I think it depends on how much duration you've worked, but for an example, if you've worked in Germany for, let's say, 5 years, you are eligible for 12 months of Arbeitslosengeld, which is the employment fund, or like, yeah. So you can apply for to convert that into like a startup fund. So it is that money, so you get slightly more amount, and it is not just the amount, right? So you get like for 12 months or whatever months, you'll get that amount plus 300 on top for your insurance and all of that. But then you also get a lot of support from the Agentur für Arbeit, which is the job thank you, job agency. So what you get from them is you can get mentorship. So if you say that, hey, I want to talk to someone, I want to talk to a consultant who can help me with my business model, or who can help me with my pricing, they actually have, I mean, you have to be a little lucky to get the right people. If your handler, case handler is a good, I mean, if you get a good case handler, I think they're very proactive in giving you mentors who you can talk to, that, hey, I need someone to just look at my pitch, or I need someone to just like talk through my idea. I think they have decent consultants that you get access to for free. So you don't have to pay the job department pays for it. So I think I missed out on it because I registered as a freelancer uh, earlier than I should have. So the cheat sheet would be to, when you decide you want to do something, do not start registering yourself as freelancer. Talk to your case handler at the Arbeitsamt first. They will guide you, because then you're not, because yeah, for example, I'm not eligible for Gründungszuschuss now because I already registered myself as a freelancer. So that was one. Second thing was, do not register your company in Germany, right, as long as you don't have a decent amount of revenue. And again, the cheat sheet being, as soon as you register any like UG or like any sort of company, you have to do something called a Jahresabschluss, which is like a year-end tax calculation. And because you're registered as a company, you cannot do it on your own. You have to do it through a Steuerberater or like a CA of some sort, and that costs money. So ideally, what happens is, in the first year or so, you're still building a product, you don't have any revenue. So there's no revenue, but then you have to spend about 800 to 1,000 bucks to like do the whole registration plus do the tax calculation. So the cheat code here is that do not register your company as long as the revenue you're going to get in is going to be more than this 1,000. So when you know that, okay, you have 2-3 customers coming up, or they're going to make, I mean, they're going to pay you more than what it would need to register, only then do that. Until then, you can actually provide services through your own, like a selbstständiger tax ID. So when you're registered as a freelancer, you can actually provide services under your VAT or whatever Steuer ID. So that is, and then that is also like one of those things, right? In the startup ecosystem that I've seen, Berlin, I've seen more and more people do this model wherein they start as freelancers. Whatever they're providing, right? They'll provide it as a service first, and already start making money. So that's the biggest, like the good thing about it. Because when you start providing services as a service provider, you already start making money, and then you make it into a product. So you're not pre-revenue for quite some time, and then so there's money coming in. So this is a model that a lot of people in Berlin are using right now, is what I see. So you can always do that. That's the second thing. If you are a university student, apply for Exist fund right out of university. It gives you a stipend for like 6 months, whatever, depending on your product and how you're progressing. Again, I missed out on it because you have to apply for it like within 5 years of your graduation. I graduated too long ago, so I'm not eligible for it. So essentially, there is no cheat code as such. Go to all events, attend events, attend all sorts of events. So make sure you don't miss out on these grants. Take them. There is, I mean, yeah, it takes time. So be choosy about which ones you apply for. Don't apply for every and anyone. Be very specific. Like they have like consultation hours open. So talk to them before applying. Yeah, the second thing was about the registration. So do not register until you have to. And then this is a little personal. I know people who are more risk taking, but in my case, like, get a stable visa and then start. Then you don't have to worry about the visa, because The other way is also to be on a freelancer visa, which then has to be renewed every 3 years. So that's also an option. It's just that personally for me that was a little too, um, let's say, unsafe. But yeah, you can always do a freelancer visa.
Yeah, yeah. What is the best piece of advice you have received when you started your entrepreneurial journey?
I think this was it. Do not register. I think that has been the best piece of advice given to me, especially because in India and in the US, the first thing you do is, even if you don't have an idea, you register something, right? But here it's completely different, and a lot of people have, spent too much money following that pattern. So I think that was one of the best advice people have given me. Do not register until you have to. Um, and then of course, like this more generic, but it is important. Let's just go out there, put it out there. Like whatever you've built, put it out there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Can be half baked, can have errors. Just put it in people's hands, see what people are saying about it. There is no shame in making a half baked product, because that's how you're going to know that it is half baked, essentially.
Once you're a startup founder, you don't have the luxury of a secure sort of a big company, a cushion that provides you that security, mental peace. You're continuously on your own, and you're building and you're thinking. And like, how do you make sure that you're not overtly stressed, overthinking? What's your mantra?
So honestly, there are going to be times when you're overwhelmed, overstressed, overthinking. I think what is important is to identify that and like give a break. So the ways I do that break is, I mean, we're fortunate to live in a city like this, right? So if I just get down of my apartment building, there's a great park here, so there's a lake. So just take a quick stroll around the lake, the park. I swim, so I think swimming is something that I really enjoy. When I'm in the water, there is no sound, so I think that's the most peaceful I feel. So doing just activities where you're more. Uh, I mean, of course, the thoughts keep on coming, but I think it's necessary to get out there, like go outside essentially. Just go outside, take a walk. Just it sounds dramatic, but feel the nature. Look at the nice colors, and look at things around you. So that genuinely helps. And I think in terms of the loneliness, right? So I found a couple of things that have really helped me. One is that find your tribe. One of the reasons that I started Pitch Bazaar was the same thing, that I was feeling lonely, did not know what to do. So I was like, okay, there has to be more people who are building like me. Indian founders in Berlin. Let's just try to connect with them, and that is why I founded Pitch Bazaar, which was like, okay, let's just do a Stammtisch here and there. Just let's meet up, let's talk, let's complain if you want to, but like just I want to know that there's someone else. The second thing I've done is joining communities. So like I said, Venturing Women was a community that I joined, where you get support. If not like emotional support, but also if you're stuck at something, you just ask a question. Hey, this is what I'm stuck with. There's going to be five people who are going to answer to you. Like, people are really nice if you just ask. And then there is Founders Hub Berlin, that does like a founders co-working. So it's thrice a month. I mean, last year it used to be thrice a month. So three Thursdays a month. We used to co-work. A bunch of founders used to co-work together. So again, it gives a nice feeling of belonging. It gives that, oh, I'm in an office, I sit and work, that kind of a thing. So yeah, those are some of the ways of sort of decluttering my mind, but also cooking. I enjoy it. My mind is completely blank when I do that. So just make something elaborate, and yeah, I'm quiet again.
Thank you so much, Shruti, for your
Thank
time.
you.
I hope your journey can inspire many others.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you so much.
congratulations on all the great job that you've been doing. And you've also been recognized recently for your work. So congratulations on that.
This is
Yeah,
the
oh,
this
so
is
cool.
the yeah. It's also It's a trophy made by one of the past winners. So it's a 3D printed trophy with like recycled plastic and stuff.
How lovely is that?